Welcome to a Glaass tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a workflow in Glaass. Workflows are custom approval processes which can be added to cases in the project. Workflows in Glaass can be configured with set schedules, outcomes, parallel or single steps with users or groups with set times and durations. When a workflow has been added to a case, you can see the workflow name, the due date, and you can see each of these steps, including the users who have actioned the steps with name, date, and timestamps, including the action, as well as any comments that they've made on each of the steps. To create a new workflow, click Workflows in the left-hand column, and then either click on the multi-purpose button and click New Workflow, or alternatively, right-click in the middle column and select New Workflow. Enter in a meaningful title for the workflow that helps describe what the workflow is going to do in the project. Once you've entered in the title, you'll need to set whether the workflow is active or not active. By default, this is yes, and it means that it can be added to cases in the project. Next, you can add a note to help users identify what this workflow is going to be used for. Once you've added a note, you can set the workflow schedule to either calendar days minus holidays, business days, and business days minus holidays. The project's business days and holidays can be found in the project details by clicking the project name in the menu bar. Next, you can select where this workflow will sit. In this example, we're going to set it in the HSE folder. Next, you'll need to set the outcomes for the workflow, noting that there must be at least one step with the outcome action continue to next step. To create a new outcome action, click New Outcome, and then continue to enter in a new outcome text and action. For our outcome number 2, we're going to make this send back to the previous step. We're going to add in a third outcome action, and we're going to choose this so that we'll actually send the workflow back to the first step. We'll add in a fourth workflow outcome action, and this outcome will allow us to restart the workflow from the nearest milestone. The last option we're going to add is to reject and terminate the workflow. With this option, we'll select the step outcome action as terminate the workflow. Once you've completed the outcomes, click Finish. Next, you'll need to design the workflow. Scroll down, and here you can set the individual steps, parallel steps, and durations for each of the steps. For step 1, we're going to make it 2 days in duration. Then you'll need to enter in the name of the step. Then in the responsible field, you can enter in the users, groups, multiple users, multiple groups, or leave it empty if you'd like this to be an ad hoc workflow step. In this example, I'm going to select the blue icon to bring up a full list of the users and groups in the middle column, and I'm going to search for the group that I'd like to use. To create a new step, click the plus icon, and in this example, we're going to make step 2 parallel. To make a parallel step, click the parallel icon, and it will automatically drop down so that you can fill in a new name and responsible. For step 2, we're going to make it 3 days in duration, and then we're going to enter in the names for each of the steps. I'm going to enter in a single user here for the HSE manager review, and then I'll enter in the name for step 2 parallel. On this project, we have different site managers working, so I'm going to make this an ad hoc step, thereby not entering any user or group in the responsible field. I'm also going to make this step a milestone. This will allow us to send back the workflow to the milestone and not restart it. It also allows you the option to postpone the case creation of new cases until the first milestone is approved. If you'd like to select this option, click the checkbox. If not, leave it unchecked. I'm now going to add in a third workflow step. Scroll to the side and click the plus icon to add in the third step. I'm going to leave this as 1 day's duration, and then I'm going to enter in the name of the workflow step. I'm now going to enter in multiple users in the responsible field. So we're going to add our designers into the workflow step. And when multiple users are added in a single step, only one of those users must action the workflow in order to progress it. I'm also going to make this step optional, which means that it's not always required in the project. I'm now going to create the fourth and final workflow step. This is going to be our project manager. So enter in the name and enter in the project manager's name in the responsible. I'm also going to make this time-bound. Time-bound means that once the workflow has hit its due date, it will automatically expire and progress the workflow. Once you've finished designing the workflow, recheck it to make sure that all of the steps are correct, the times are right, and all of the options that have been selected are correct. Once you're finished, click Add to create the workflow in the project. Once the workflow has been created, you'll be able to see the workflow's details, the outcome actions, and the workflow design itself. As you scroll across, you'll be able to see each of the steps, who's responsible, the day's duration that they have, and any options that you've selected, such as milestones, ad hoc steps, optional steps, and time-bound steps. Workflow creators and administrators in the project can edit workflows. To do this, click Edit in the toolbar, and then you'll be able to change the information such as the title. You can change it to inactive if you don't want it to be added to any new cases. You can change the notes, the workflow schedule, any of the outcome actions, and of course, change the design of the workflow, including deleting steps, adding new steps, and changing any of the options on the workflow. Workflows can be added to templates as default in the project. To do this, click Settings, then Customize, and then open up the template that you'd like to modify. For example, the near miss report. First, turn on workflows if it's not already on, and then in the default workflow, enter in the name of the workflow. You can also lock the workflow, meaning that it cannot be removed from the case and it must be sent with the workflow. When you're done, click Save. Now, when the near miss report template is opened, it will include the workflow and there'll be no padlock icon as it is set as default and locked. That was a step-by-step guide on how to create a workflow in Glaass. Workflows are custom approval processes that can be added to cases. Provide a clear title and a note on the workflow to assist users in the project. Set the schedule on the workflow to either calendar or business days, noting that the business days and holidays can be found in the project details. Add different outcomes to allow the workflow to move forward and backward. Design the workflow with single, parallel, optional, ad hoc, time-bound, and milestone steps with varying durations. When workflows are no longer in use, they can be set to inactive. Workflows can be set as defaulted and locked on templates in the project. That was a step-by-step guide on how to create workflows in the project. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our support team.